Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Sorry I'm not here again. I'll be back on Wednesday, I promise, after the flex day. So I'll just take you through one more thing of notes for inequalities, and then we'll have a few days to review, and then we'll take a quiz. I'll probably move the quiz back to Thursday, is my assumption. So we'll review tomorrow while you're doing your flex day, and then we'll review in class on Wednesday when we all get back. So we're going to talk about applications, so word problems of inequalities. Now, a lot of this is not going to be new due to the fact that we did applications the past 2 units with equations. So now we're just going to throw an inequality sign in there, but we do have to make sure it's the right one. So I'm going to take you through like 4 different examples, and then you'll have time to work on this in class. So in writing an inequality from a word problem, we still use this general template. So we always start with defining a variable. I think I've emphasized this enough that is a big part of it. That's also a point on these tests or quizzes. And then we have write an algebraic, see if I can spell this word right, algebraic expression to represent the actual amount, okay? And then we're going to write another expression to represent the other side of the inequality. So many times this is just going to be a number because it's going to be like your total, where the second one's going to be more of like the algebra, so 3x plus 20, depending on what your situation is. And then the last one is just to put a sign in between the two expressions. So you just have to be careful, and we'll go through that on how to pick your sign, okay? So we're just going to hop into it. So step 1 is to define a variable. So Johnny wants to spend no more than $500 on a new gaming system and some games. The game console costs $249.99 and each game costs $35. Find the possible number of games. So remember that right there gives you your variable. So I'm going to say G is number of games. You can always pull it from your question or the statement at the end. And then we have our 2 different expressions. So Johnny wants to spend no more than 500. That's one expression, okay? That total amount. So one of them is just going to be your total amount that you want to be working with, okay? The next one, though, the game console costs $249.99, and each game costs $35, okay? Now you have to go back and decide which one of these needs a variable, if not all of them. 500 is not talking about the games. $249.99 is not talking about the games, but 35 is, so 35G, okay? And then the last part is just to determine what symbol. So does Johnny want his actual amount spent to be more than or less than the target? So $249.99 plus 35G cannot be no more than 500. So we need it to be less than the target goal, okay? So how we're going to write this is $249.99 plus 35G has to be less than or equal to 500. We can meet the goal, but it just can't be any more than 500. So that amount needs to be less than or equal to 500. And then we're going to solve, so start by subtracting $249.99, which you would get $250.01, and then divide. But now we're going to talk about this, 7.14. So the games have to be less than or equal to 7.14. You have to think in inequalities. Am I going to round up or down? So here, we're going to round down because I do not want to go over. If I go up to 8 games, I'm going to be over a certain amount, okay? So you round down, okay? So you would have G is less than or equal to 7 games. You do have to put your inequality in your answer because if not, you just said 7 games, and we know it's anything less than or equal to 7 games. Okay, so that is my final answer. Okay? Moving on to our second one. On a hunting trip, Taylor's goal is for him and his dad to get at least 35 rabbits. There's their goal. Taylor gets on average 3 rabbits per hour while his dad gets 16 total. Find the number of full hours. So there's our variable. H is number of hours Taylor needs to reach his goal. So now we need to talk about our expressions. So our expression number 1 is just our total amount, which is 35, at least 35. expression number 2, which you could do this all in one step and make your inequality, but I'm going to separate it for right now. Taylor gets on average 3 rabbits per hour, so 3H, while his dad gets 16 total. Notice how 16 is not talking about hours, so 16 does not get an H. Okay, now we're going to go figure out our sign. So I'm going to put 3H plus 16 and 35 and figure out what my sign needs to be. We want this amount that they do to be at least 35. So this can be over 35 or equal to it, okay? At least means 35 has to be the smallest possible amount. 36, 37, 38 is fine. So this number over here can be bigger than 35, but not less than, okay? And then you solve. So I get 3H is greater than or equal to 19. Divide. And we have this situation again, 6.33. What do we want to do? H has to be greater than or equal to 6.33, or else they don't meet their goal. So if I round down to 6, I'm not going to hit the goal, because I need to be greater than or equal to this number with the 0.33. So this one you're going to round up, okay, in order to not be less than your goal. So my H has to be greater than or equal to 7 hours. Now remember guys, since this is a video, if it's ever going too fast, just pause, rewind, and you can hear it all again, okay? But we are going to move into 4 more than triple a number is greater than 8 less than the 5 times the same number. Find all possibilities for that number. So I'm going to say X is a number. There's my variable. This one's kind of nice because it goes right in a row. 4 more than triple a number. 4 more than triple a number is greater than, so that part is greater than 8 less than 5 times the same number. Now just be careful with the less than, because 5 times the same number minus 8 is the correct way of writing that, not 8 minus 5x, okay? So be careful with that part. All right, and then you solve. So personally, I moved the 3x over here, just review from last Friday. So 2x minus 8, we still have greater than. 4 is greater than 2x minus 8, add 8 over here, and divide. So x and 6. So 6 is greater than x. We know that is one possible answer, but if you flip it, that is also, this one is also another answer. They're saying the same thing, okay? So those ones are kind of nice because they're just right in a row. It tells you the sign in the middle of it. So just be careful when solving. And our last one, this is a fun one because we've done break even. So this is kind of like a break even problem, but now it looks a little different because we're in inequalities. Sherry started a business designing and selling custom t-shirts. The equipment she needed cost $4,700. She buys the plain t-shirts for $320, so she spends that. She then sells them for $19.99 each. For what number of t-shirts, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. X equals number of t-shirts. Will Sherry make a profit? Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about profit. So profit, I'm just going to kind of work down from here. When we're opening up a company, remember we've talked about this like a billion times, but you have a spend thing, and then you have something that you earn when you start up a company. When we were talking about breaking even, we were talking about these being equal to each other because you didn't want to be in the negatives or you didn't want to be spending more than you earned. But if you want to make a profit, you have to earn more than you spend. Okay, so that's why this is now an inequality, because I want this number to be bigger so that I make a profit. Okay, so write these words down, please, right now, because this is going to help you when you're setting these up. Because now you're going to go to the word problem and go, which numbers am I spending? The equipment she needed cost $4,700. That's a spend number, okay? She buys the plain t-shirts for $320. She buys, so that is a spend number as well. $320 just gets an X because I'm talking about the t-shirts, okay? Less than. She then sells, that's an earn amount if she's selling it. The newly designed t-shirts for $19.99 each. So $19.99, but this one's also talking about t-shirts. Okay, so this one gets an X. Remember, a lot of us were having issues because you didn't like the X's on opposite sides. But remember, that's a type of problem we've done before, okay? So that is how this equation or inequality is set up, all right? And then you'd subtract 320x and go from there. So I would have 4,700 is less than, it has to be less than how much I'm selling these or getting back, which would be that. So I would have x and then greater than 279.93. Okay, so then you just have to think. And I'm going to rewrite it this way just so we can talk about it in both senses. Oops, 279.93. Both of these are answers though. So if x has to be greater than 279.93, then you have to think about should I round up or down? In this case, since it's not or equal to, x being greater than 279 is okay. Because, and I'm going to tell you why, it's not being included. So rounding down isn't taking things away from you, because the first number that this technically is talking about is 280, because 279 is not included. So another way I would accept this answer is x has to be greater than or equal to 280. So those are basically saying the exact same thing, okay? But either of those would work for this problem, okay? So I know we flew through that, so if you got stuck, please go back and look and rewatch. But we do have a Math XL for homework. It's like 8 questions. 2 of them are just review solving. So 6 word problems. Please get this done. I'm going to put grades in probably tomorrow during the flex day. So if you have any questions, email me, and I'll see you on Wednesday.